Hey everybody, and welcome back. This is war number 8. We've got the same 3 for the bans, Ghost, Herc, and Torch. Very popular choices, and yeah, the Ghost ban has been an interesting one since I was the primary Ghost player. With her not available, it's actually allowed me to bring in some really interesting teams. Of course, Apocalypse is rank 4 now, so he's a really steady guy on the team, but in this war, we actually sent both of the rank 4 apocalypses, and both of us also tagged along with Nebula. So that's how powerful Nebula is these days as well. She was able to take some fights on the left and the right. Very cool. So I'm starting on path 1. We have some really fun fights today, and of course CGR is here as well. You'll see him by the end of the war. This is the Arc Overload and Vigorous Assault. Nebula can completely turn off all the abilities of robots, which extends to the nodes. So that means once I get to 5 of the amp charges, then I will be able to turn off his power gain. Basically, it'll shut down the cooldown timer when it resets. And additionally, I'll be able to turn off Arc Overload, which means I'll be able to turn off Unblockable. So if I can just survive the first few seconds of the fight and make sure that I don't get cornered while he's unblockable, it should be a pretty straightforward fight after that. Just bait some specials, and eventually we can maybe do a special 2 and just burn him down. So we're going to start off by dashing back. I like to kind of leave my block open if possible. That usually makes them jump back. And if you can get a couple rounds of blocked hits, then you're usually pretty good. I'm trying to bait the special 1 because when you block it, it puts ineptitude and then it puts the thing on cooldown. We have more than enough amp charges, so his cooldown timer is going to just go away. And then watch the Arc Overload timer, that is ticking, and that also is just going to go away. So the 2 cooldown timers completely lost, and I think I have enough of these to reparry and just throw this special 2 and nuke him down the rest of the way. Ticking for 22k each. This is without the recoil tree masteries, just straight up Nebula. Pretty impressive. Next up is Masochism node with MODOK. I'm using this fight to give Apocalypse 1 charge because I'm going up against a mutant later, which would mean he would start with 3 charges, but I want the full 4 against this mutant because it's going to be tricky. So it's a little bit of a risk bringing in the unramped Apocalypse here, but it has Masochism, which he hard counters. However, there's one thing I didn't consider, which is that the flux of MODOK can put him above 100% ability accuracy, which means occasionally my ability to stop Purify is going to fail. As you can see right there, it said regeneration. Masochism did proc, and I wasn't ready for it. But after I saw that happen once, I realized what was going on. And I realized that it was a thing to have to worry about and to just be a little bit more careful. I think at least one more time we're going to see a debuff, not bypass Masochism. So I decided that I am only going to throw special 1s and do a lot of heavy attacks. There again, we saw the Masochism proc. So, his flux is definitely a factor. But you can see with the special 1s, even if he auto blocks them, I'm always going to be far enough away that it's not going to be an issue. So I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just throwing heavy attacks because I know they'll always land, or I'll do short combos, just enough to get the auto block charge off. High ground is definitely building up. I'm taking a lot of block damage. Even with this large health pool, he's whittling away at Apocalypse. But it is looking like I'll be able to win the fight as long as I don't make any big mistakes, like if I ate a special 1 or something. But yeah, high ground it's the worst. I mean, there's really no way to get around it here. I guess I could have done some longer combos or something, but overall this is just about baiting his special 1s. I'm trying my best to throw my special 1s as soon as the auto block blue icon is down, so that as many hits as possible are going to connect. But yeah, I did lose a ton of health there, but it was mission accomplished. I didn't die, and I was able to get 1 genetic code so that when I go up against this bishop on node 26, I would be fully ramped. Now, this is a fight I've taken before. Apocalypse is one of the best counters here because he fully counters one of the worst parts of the nodes, which is the disorient debuff. We're going to start this the same way that we did with the Doom fight. I have an invuln because I may want to push him to a special 3. So I accidentally take a second blocked hit. I really didn't want to do that, and you're going to see why. Watch the disorients. So they go away with my immunity, but the game is coding that as a purify, which gets punished by Bishop. So I took a huge burst of damage there, which, you know, fortunately I've got so much health that it was fine, but I'm just turtling up. I'm pretty confident with the L2 evade, but since I have the indestructible on, I'm figuring I don't mind pushing him red because his special 3 has 0 effects to it. And so I'm like, whatever, throw the special 3, but he actually throws a heavy, and with my power back boost, I'm able to just get him down with one more special 2 right here. So yeah, no issues. I will keep that in mind that, you know, when you go immune to disorient, or let's say the same thing happened with incinerate, that you do have to take a burst of damage when you purify the debuff. I think it is a little weird to me that that counts as a purify, but I guess it's coded in the game that way, and you just have to deal with it. I think that was an easier fight than Doom because I was able to land a bunch of crits and felt pretty good about my damage off of the special 2. So next up, this was the fight that I was like the most hyped up for, and it's this Weapon X on the One Eye Open and Hazard Shift node. And I almost thought about going straight in with Nebula right there because I still had the invuln on, but I remembered that I did want to spec on the recoil tree masteries. I just think there's no reason not to. She, you know, is immune to both of the effects. I'm going to be throwing at least one special 3 in this particular matchup. But let's talk about Weapon X. We've basically got a stun immune Weapon X. And the way that I'm going to be playing him is just blocking and baiting some heavies. And then we're going to try to push him into Berserk mode. You can do that by giving him 25 rage charges, or if he's over 15 and throws a special attack, he'll go into it. Then you have to watch out for the Unstoppable, and then you're kind of just off to the races. But we're going to see some interesting things here, because in order for me to really do any damage while he's in Berserk mode, I'm going to have to not just worry about my physical hits. So right there, I pushed him right in. It was a little risky to do it that way because he had 23 rage. But we're doing our best to hold block to get him to bait his heavies. I didn't feel safe about punishing there. If you watch the yellow Unstoppable timer, as soon as it expires, you can dash in. He takes a long time to recover from the heavy. So I'm building up to my special 3 because that's going to give me a chance to apply shocks on him. Once again, watching the Unstoppable timer for the timing to be perfect. But this regeneration, you know, my physical hits are not going to be able to make a dent in him because he's regenning all of it. So I need to figure out a way to do damage in another way. I don't want to let the tempo of the fight go away because I can't stun him at all because of the One Eye Open node. So he's fully unblockable all fight. We have to find our openings from punishing the heavies, from punishing the specials. I throw the special 2. We only get 12 shocks, but just look at that health bar. It's like a race between the shocks burning him down and this insane regen. The Awakened ability gives me a little bit more combat power rate, so I'm able to get all the way back up to another special 2. Even though there's only 2 shocks on him, that's going to do a nice burst of damage, and then bait one more, and hopefully we can just throw this L1 and get him down, and he goes down. So yeah, that was a really exhilarating fight. I feel like I really played his AI quite well. I guess I could have let the Berserk fall off, but I don't know. I think that worked pretty well, just staying aggressive, because everything he was doing was very predictable to me. You know, he was very willing to throw those heavies when I held my block down. It was very easy to bait his specials, and I was able to just keep building power, put in the shocks, and then eventually burn him down. So yeah, I don't think I would have changed anything about that fight, to be honest. It was a little scary that the regen was so big and that he was unblockable all fight, but I think my strategy was correct there, and I'm glad that I had the masteries on. For this fight, I'm going to put on Power Start 1 because we're going to do a more traditional Nebula fight here. I do like these fights, though, that aren't the traditional get to the special 2 and they're dead type fights. But on this one, we are going to be using a Power Start 1. Look at my amp charges. When I hit him and when I would be immune to shock, it is actually supercharging my amp charges. So once we get to 20, all we have to do is land 1 parry and throw 1 special 2, and that's the end. So yeah, very easy. Originally, we were going to use Mole Man there. But it was like a choice of which nuke do we want, Nebula or Mole Man. And because I didn't bring Mole Man, we actually were able to bring a hard counter for this Killmonger on node 49, which is the hazard shift and stun immune one. And I will just say, I'm not proud of this, but I took this fight at about 1 a.m. and it was just because I really wanted war to be over before I woke up. I had a really early day. I didn't sleep much last night. That's on me. But I had a really early day and I just didn't really want to fight war the next day. So I am just nuking this fight. I think it would have been more fun if I actually like countered the node, but I'm doing Power Start 1. He doesn't throw a heavy, so I'm worried about the poison phase now, but we do the light ending combo. We get to a special 2. I'm just going to throw this anyway, just because I know I'm going to get some poison debuffs on me. It's kind of dumb that even with projectiles, you get the hazard shifts on you. It's not just based on contact. So I am kind of waiting for the poison to go away. I'm going to just bait this. If I could have thrown a heavy attack, I would have, because then my Fury would last longer. But look how big this special 3 is. We've got the Fury. We don't have an aptitude. If we had the aptitude, he probably would have died. But he's going to end up with like 3% health when this is over. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And, you know, CGR just completely turns off his abilities. So just tap him one more time. And that's the end of Killmonger. So, like I said, I fought really late at night and I was kind of tired. And I could have boosted less and maybe like had a more interesting looking fight where I actually was like fighting Killmonger. But at that point, the war was really close and I didn't want to have a dumb mistake be the reason that we lose. So I was like, hey, I've got these cosmic boosts. We might as well just do it this way so that there's 0 risk. And that was the answer to that. So, you know, hopefully the Weapon X fight is the more finessed gameplay that you saw. And then there were a couple nukes today as well. It was a good balance of stuff. So yeah, I am making this video before the results are out. So I'm not going to go over the results of the war. It's definitely a close war, but also this is the day that the game updated and a lot of Android users and apparently not Android users as well are having some incredibly frustrating input issues. So we really don't know if this war is going to count. We don't know if the season's going to continue. It's very discouraging, to be honest, but you know, because we didn't hear otherwise, we all took this war quite seriously. We did have a few deaths to those input issues that were very, very clearly because of the update. Really, really annoying to see that. But I would also assume that the other side had a few of them. And I just was like, well, my phone and my app is working fine, so I'm still going to boost. I'm still going to take it seriously. And I ended up with some cool fights and some cool footage from it. So anyway, we will all hear more about this war. Definitely check out the other SSx guys if you want to see more about the results. But definitely they played us well. We had a good match against, CADBL. And that's going to do it for today. So thanks for checking out the war video. Fingers crossed that either the season continues or Kabam does the right thing. I just want someone to do the right thing here so we can figure out what the future of this Alliance War season is and have some information. So still waiting on that. But for now, that's going to be the end of the video. And I'll catch you in the next one.